three of us, and he gave us like a couple of lines. In particular, he was giving me things that Michelle Obama has actually said, because I think he had the vision of splicing her in. And you almost couldn't believe them. It was like, I think you might need to go back and check that. There's no way that must have come from some other parody. But no, time and time again, it was her exact words. She's even more miserable than we portrayed her.
Michelle Obama has been polished and promoted like the ultimate American brand, part political heavyweight, part pop culture queen, part lifestyle guru. But Megyn Kelly wasn't drinking the hype. To her, Michelle wasn't some fearless truth-teller or cultural superhero. She was a carefully engineered PR project. Strip away the packaging, Kelly argued, and you don't find a leader. You find a marketing campaign running on borrowed time.
You got on this guy, Jay Shetty's podcast, and he asked her something about her greatest fear as of late. And here's what she said.
Current climate for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants. So it's not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama.
Kelly came in swinging, tearing down the media's glossy version of Michelle. They built her up like a myth, a saint, a style icon, a guiding light for progressives. But Kelly wasn't fooled. She said Michelle's success wasn't built on grit or groundbreaking wins, but on pure image control. When the speeches fade, the book sales cool, and the photo ops stop, what's left? Not a legacy, just a brand.
It's unbelievable. Like, even if you're going to spin that as charitably as possible, like, oh, he would have had to live up to Barack Obama. She didn't say that. She didn't then clarify the point to make sure that that's what she meant. And so I genuinely think she meant what she said. Oh God, I'd have another Barack Obama on my hands. And who the hell wants that? I mean, we kind of can relate, but whatever, it's fine. It's different. We're the general public. But it was so.
And then there was the healthy lunch crusade, Michelle's big cafeteria revolution. Instead of changing lives, it sparked a full-on food rebellion. Kids trashed the kale patties, parents mocked the menus, and schools ended up with an underground trade in PB and JS and pizza. Kelly's verdict? Michelle didn't create healthier kids, she created contraband chicken nuggets.
She says the bars are just different for people in life. Right. The bar was very different for your husband. Very different. And I'm sure he got into Harvard just based purely on his intellect, right? And Harvard Law School. And he was ushered into the presidency with about 2 minutes of public service behind him.
Next came the Netflix payday. Because nothing screams grassroots like cashing in with one of the biggest corporations in Hollywood. Kelly called it like it was. The Obamas didn't challenge the system, they cashed out from it. Michelle's relatable image? Just another Hollywood role in a script worth millions.
You're universally beloved and celebrated and put on magazine covers. You name your own book, Becoming. Who does that? Okay, but you're still celebrated as one of the world's most lovely and loved people, okay? And you're still unhappy about what again? About the fact that when the girls ride on the plane, you have to pay the equivalent of an airline ticket for them, and you have to pay for your own food. Like every other human alive. Like all of us, right? Like who's going to, she's so out of touch, she doesn't realize we're not going to feel sorry for her for having to pay for her groceries and her kids' airlines.
Then came the book tour that looked more like a world tour for a pop star. The press treated her memoir like sacred scripture, but Kelly saw through it. It wasn't a raw, tell-all confession, it was a glossy self-help guide designed to keep the brand alive. Each chapter flipped between victim and hero, not truth and vulnerability. Kelly's take. It was less about history, more about keeping the cash register ringing.
It's because she's so absurd. We had no idea she was this negative a person when she was first lady and still behind the marketing PR wall that had been placed in front of her. It's been such a gift to see her out there, just genuinely her, so we can see she is truly somebody with the darkest vision of life, especially marriage and children, I've ever seen in a public.
Kelly also blasted the media for building Michelle into a bubble. Every magazine cover, every glowing headline, it wasn't journalism, it was celebrity fanfiction. They obsessed over her dresses, worshipped her speeches, and shut out criticism. Kelly popped that bubble, pointing out Michelle wasn't a political powerhouse. She never ran for office, never led a movement, never managed anything at scale. And when she complained about the struggles of White House life, it sounded less like honesty and more like tone-deaf whining.
If I'm not going to do this thing, I gotta tell my team, I don't even want to have a dress ready. Yeah. Right? Because it's so easy to just say, let me do the right.
Was it really such a big sacrifice to ask her to go show up at the inauguration? You know, do you think Jill Biden really wanted to be there, or Laura Bush for that matter? You do it because the country likes these ceremonies. I realize Trump did not go to the inauguration of Joe Biden. That's a separate issue. But she talks about it like, I did what was right for me. Something like I've never done before. And for once, I chose.
Kelly laid bare the contradiction. You can't brand yourself as the queen of resilience while complaining about living rent-free in the world's most famous mansion. Michelle wanted to play both the underdog and the superstar, but under scrutiny, that balancing act crumbled. And the whispers about Michelle swooping in to save the Democrats. Kelly wasn't buying it. She called it what it was, political desperation. With no fresh talent left, the party's clinging to Michelle like a last hope lifeboat.
How do you feel comfortable going to work, going to school, when you know that there could be people out here judging you and who could upend your life in a second? That's who I worry for.
There's so much in there, Tucker. I'll let you take a swing at it first.
Well, I mean, my first response is it feels so antique. It feels so 2017. It's like literally nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. All of those talking points, people of color under attack. No, they're not. They're coming here by the millions because this is the safest country for everybody, no matter what your color.
Kelly went further, dismantling Michelle's so-called legacy. It wasn't built on groundbreaking achievements. Kelly said it was propped up by non-stop media worship and loyal fans. Michelle talks humility and service, but lives the jet-set life, private flights, luxury homes, elite circles. Empowerment isn't a mission anymore, it's a product line. Buy the book, watch the doc, grab a ticket to the tour. Michelle's not selling inspiration, she's selling merch. And at the core, Kelly argued, her biggest role was being Barack's personal PR machine, polishing his failures into fairy tales.
Her latest soundbite that made the rounds, this happened on June 18th, but I was off. Here it is, 39.
I threw a boy in the mix.
I would. I'm so glad I didn't have a boy.
Yeah.
Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
It's like baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
Ooh, no, I would have felt for him.
She just borrowed our boys.
Yes, I got
Wow.
Did you catch that? She's glad she didn't have a boy because he would have been a Barack Obama. And that's a hard pass for her. This woman can't stand him. She can't.
Wait a minute. Now I like her.
Kelly didn't ignore Michelle's culture war moves either. While Michelle paints herself as a unifier, her words often split the country in two, praising one side as enlightened, labeling the other as backwards. Kelly called out the double standard, exposing Michelle as more partisan warrior than peacekeeper. Michelle, Kelly said, didn't rise on substance, she rode the wave of history, mastered branding, and stayed bulletproof in pop culture while offering very little beneath the shine.
She was bitching about having to buy her own groceries while she was living for free in the White House, a staff that was paid for. I didn't even know prior to her latest bitch sesh that the First Lady has her own plane, and that it's called Bright Star.
Right. But she still found a way to complain about it. It's like, so let me just get this straight. We, the people, moved you and your whole family into the White House. We gave.
At the end of the day, Kelly argued, Michelle wasn't the towering figure her fans worship. She was a celebrity who confused applause with impact. The myth cracked under Kelly's spotlight. Instead of a leader, we saw someone who turned nostalgia into profit, standing ovations into branding, and influence into a money-making machine. Kelly didn't just critique, she detonated the illusion. The myth might still sell, but the cracks are spreading. And sooner or later, it's going to collapse under its own weight.
Last but not least, she finally spoke to sort of the reason she did not go to Trump's inauguration. And man, this was This one was important to her.
My decision to skip the inauguration, you know, what people don't realize, or my decision to make choices at the beginning of this year that suited me were met with such ridicule and criticism. Like, people couldn't believe that I was saying no for any other reason, that they had to assume that my marriage was falling apart.
Right.
Kelly doubled down on the contradictions. Here was a woman who preached unity while cashing in on division, who claimed to stand for everyday families while living in beachfront mansions and mingling with billionaires. Kelly's conclusion? Michelle's true genius wasn't leadership, it was risk avoidance. While real political figures take punches in the arena, Michelle floats above it all, untouchable. Not because she's beyond criticism, but because her brand is too profitable to challenge.
Most women, when they talk about the glorious ability to be a woman, the glorious fact of being a woman, will mention, as you and I both just did, as one of the first things that makes women truly special, the ability to carry and give birth to a child. It's a gift from God. It's such an extraordinary superpower. Here she is on that.
A lot of male politicians, a lot of male religious leaders think about the issue of choice as if it's just about the fetus, the baby, but women's reproductive health.
But Kelly tore through that myth with surgical precision. She flipped the script and revealed how Michelle has taken that narrative of victimhood and weaponized it, turning it into a shield that makes her immune to scrutiny. Instead of a symbol of resilience, Kelly showed Michelle as someone who thrives on the sympathy card, wielding it like armor while cashing in on the aura of moral superiority it grants her. Kelly spotlighted how Michelle's words, no matter how hollow, recycled, or self-serving, are treated as gospel by a media desperate to uphold her image. She exposed the strategy: avoid accountability. By the time Kelly was finished, Michelle Obama was no longer glowing with the light of a fearless cultural icon. She was standing exposed as a master of celebrity politics, not the authentic voice of a generation, but the carefully marketed brand of an era. And Kelly dismantled that brand with precision.
And then came Kelly's knockout punch. She flipped Michelle's victim narrative on its head. Michelle wasn't just enduring criticism, she was Monetizing it, turning sympathy into a shield against hard questions. Her polished, vague, and recycled speeches are treated like scripture by a media desperate to keep the myth alive. Kelly exposed the formula: dodge accountability, sell empowerment, protect the brand. And when the mask slipped, what stood there wasn't a voice of a generation. It was a celebrity machine, perfectly engineered. Not a leader. Not an icon. Just the brand of an era.